welcome to Storytime Junction. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to settle in, get their link, their little notification, and pop on over. Remember, the first commenter tonight will win tonight's story for their own to keep. Mrs. Clay and Mrs. Handy won the books last week for their families. We're also looking for any of our friends who brushed and flossed their teeth every night without complaint all week long, because those kids will be entered into a drawing for an Amazon gift card for $25. So make sure your parents let us know that you're here, and let us know if you brushed and flossed every night this week without one single complaint. I see some more of our friends are joining now. We're so glad you're here. I have two stories to read you tonight. One is a longer story, and one is a bedtime story to close us off for the night. If you can't stay awake for both, don't worry about it. I'll put them up on YouTube and you can watch them tomorrow. I think I saw Addie Walsh is here. Hi, Addie. I ordered some Girl Scout cookies from Addie, and I messed up her paper. I felt really bad about that. Zach and Lexi are here. Lyndon is here. Hello, Lyndon. How are you? Victoria is here. Hi, Victoria. Is everybody ready for a good story? I have a pretty great one. My class has been enjoying books by Tomie dePaola. Now, Tomie wrote a lot of books focusing on Italy, a country in Europe, which is very far away from here. But I bet you know some people who might have come here from Italy. In fact, when I read this story, it reminds me of some of my good friends who are Italian, meaning that their family comes from Italy. And I was thinking this week why I enjoy these books so much. And as I was thinking about it, I realized that every time I read these books, I imagine some special people. I have a good friend named Rosa, and her mom and dad, Lena and Joe, put up with a lot from me as a kid. I would go to their house very often and eat their delicious Italian food and spend a lot of time laughing together. Hey Hunter, how are you? Carter and Kennedy are here. Aislinn is here. Oh, look, it's Ashton, Sutton, and Gavin. I'm so glad you're here. We're just talking a little bit about friends and family, and sometimes you meet some friends in your life that become like family. Strega Nona reminds me very much. Oh, did I tell you we're reading Strega Nona tonight? We are. Strega Nona takes place in Italy a very, very long time ago. And Strega Nona always reminds me of Rosa's grandma, who she called Nona. Her grandpa was Nonno. And they would say things in Italian, and they would try to say them to me in English and say, it sounds better in Italian. And especially I remember Nonna would say, watch the road. You know what I mean? Watch the road. And he would say, it sounds better in Italian. But as time went on, I realized he was right. You have to watch where you're going all the time so you know what's ahead of you. You also have to keep watching behind to know that those good people, those good friends who become like family are always there for you. So today we're going to read Tomie dePaola's Strega Nona. Here's the cover. It's an award-winning book. It's a beautiful book. And it takes us back to the old country. In a town in Calabria, a long time ago, there lived an old lady everyone called Strega Nona, which meant Grandma Witch. Although all the people in town talked about her in whispers, they all went to see her if they had troubles. Even the priest and the sisters of the convent went, because Strega Nona did have the magic touch. Now there are some words in Italian here, and I will do my best to say them, and I am actually hearing Lena's laughter as she hears my Italian accent, so it's giving me a little chuckle thinking about that. Strega Nona could cure a headache with oil and water and a hairpin. She made special potions for girls who wanted husbands, and she was very good at getting rid of warts. But Strega Nona was getting old, and she needed someone to help her keep her little house and garden, so she put up a sign in the town square. And Big Anthony, who didn't pay attention, went to see her. "Anthony," said Strega Nona, "you must sweep in the house and wash the dishes. You must weed the garden and pick the vegetables. You must feed the goat and milk her, and you must fetch the water. For this I will give you 3 coins, and a place to sleep and food to eat." "Oh, grazie," said Big Anthony. "The one thing you must never do," said Strega Nona, "is touch the pasta pot. It is very valuable, and I don't let anyone touch it." "Oh, see? Yes?" said Big Anthony. Do you think Big Anthony's going to listen? And so the days went by. Big Anthony did his work, and Strega Nona met with the people who came to see her for headaches and husbands and warts. Big Anthony had a nice bed to sleep in next to the goat shed, and he had food to eat. One evening, when Big Anthony was milking the goat, he heard Strega Nona singing. Peeking in the window, he saw Strega Nona standing over the pasta pot. There she is singing and waving her hands, and she sang, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup, boil enough pasta to fill me up." And the pasta pot bubbled and boiled and was suddenly filled with steaming hot pasta. Then Strega Nona sang, "Enough, enough, my pasta pot, I have my pasta nice and hot. So simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day." "How wonderful," said Big Anthony. "That's a magic pot for sure." And Strega Nona called Big Anthony in for supper. But too bad for Big Anthony, because he didn't get to see Strega Nona blow 3 kisses to the magic pasta pot. And this is what happened. The next day, when Big Anthony went to the town square to fetch the water, he told everyone about the pasta pot, and naturally, everyone laughed at him, because it sounded so silly, a pot that cooked all by itself. "You'd better go and confess to the priest, Big Anthony," they said. "Such a lie!" And Big Anthony was angry, and that wasn't a very good thing to be. "I'll show them," he said to himself. "Someday I will get that pasta pot and make it cook, and then they'll be sorry." That day came sooner than even Big Anthony would have thought, because 2 days later, Strega Nona said to Big Anthony, "Anthony, I must go over the mountain to next town to see my friend Strega Amelia. Sweep in the house and weed the garden, feed the goat and milk her, and for your lunch there's some bread and cheese in the cupboard. And remember, don't touch the pasta pot." "Oh, yes, yes, Strega Nona," said Big Anthony. But inside he was thinking, "My chance has come." As soon as Strega Nona was out of sight, Big Anthony went inside, pulled the pasta pot off the shelf, and put it on the floor. "Now let's see if I can remember the words," said Big Anthony. And Big Anthony sang, "Bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup, boil enough pasta to fill me up." And sure enough, the pot bubbled and boiled and began to fill up with pasta. "Aha!" said Big Anthony, and he ran to the town square, jumped on the fountain, and shouted, "Everyone, get the forks and the plates and the platters and the bowls! Pasta for all at Strega Nona's house! Big Anthony has made the magic pasta pot work." Of course, everyone laughed, but they ran home to get their forks and plates and platters and bowls, and sure enough, when they got to Strega Nona's, the pasta pot was so full it was beginning to overflow. kind of reminds me of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Are you making any connections as I'm reading? Big Anthony was a hero. He scooped out pasta and filled the plates and platters and bowls. There was more than enough for all the townspeople, including the priest and the sisters of the convent. And some people came back for 2 and 3 helpings, but the pot was never empty. When all had had their fill, Big Anthony sang, "Enough, enough, my pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot. So simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day." But alas, he did not blow the 3 kisses. What do you think is going to happen? He went outside, and to the applause of the crowd, Big Anthony took a bow. He was so busy listening to compliments from everyone that he didn't notice the pasta pot was still bubbling and boiling, until a sister from the convent said, "Oh, Big Anthony, look!" And pasta was pouring out of the pot all over the floor of Strega Nona's house and was coming out the door. What do you think is going to happen? Big Anthony rushed in and shouted the magic words again, but the pot kept bubbling. He took the pot off the floor, but the pasta kept pouring from it. Big Anthony grabbed a cover, put it on the pot, and sat on it. But the pasta raised the cover, and Big Anthony as well, and spilled on the floor of Strega Nona's house. Can you imagine pasta all over your kitchen? "Stop!" yelled Big Anthony. But the pasta did not stop. And if someone hadn't grabbed poor Big Anthony, the pasta would have covered him up. The pasta had all but filled the little house. Out of the windows and through the doors came the pasta, and the pot kept right on bubbling. The townspeople began to worry. "Do something, Big Anthony," they shouted. Big Anthony sang that magic song again, but without the 3 kisses, it did no good. By this time, the pasta was on its way down the road, and all the people were running to keep ahead of it. "We must protect our town from the pasta," shouted the mayor. "Get the mattresses, the tables, the doors, anything to make a barricade." But even that didn't work. The pasta kept bubbling, and the pasta kept coming. What do you see? "We are lost," said the people, and the priest and the sisters of the convent began praying. "The pasta will cover our town," they cried. And it certainly would have. Had Strega Nona not come down the road home from her visit, she didn't have to look twice to know what had happened. There she is, taking a look. She sang the magic song and blew the 3 kisses. Can you blow them with me? And with a sputter, the pot stopped boiling, and the pasta came to a halt. Do you know what halt means? That's right, it means to stop. "Oh, grazie! Thank you, you Strega Nona!" the people cried. But then they turned on Big Anthony. "String him up!" the men of the town shouted. Oh, they're angry. Look at those angry faces. What a mess. Now wait, said Strega Nona. The punishment must fit the crime. And she took a fork from a lady standing nearby and held it out to Big Anthony. All right, Anthony. You wanted the pasta from my magic pasta pot. No? Strega Nona said. And I want to sleep in my little bed tonight. So start eating. And he did. Poor Big Anthony. Gosh, that reminds me of so many happy memories from childhood. Time spent with Rosa and her family. Time spent hearing that beautiful language from Italy. When even things that were like, you're giving me a headache because you're talking too much, Bridget, could sound beautiful. That was just for Joe. Well, friends, that's the end of our Strega Nona story. I have one more short bedtime story for you tonight. We have a couple more friends I didn't get to say hello to. Alini and Grant, Mahala and Lexa, all the Moore kids, all the Rega kids, all the Burtons are here. Hi, everyone. Now, this last story, this year's class hasn't heard yet. This is one of my favorite new bedtime stories in the past year. It's illustrated by one of my favorite illustrators, Lauren Castillo. This is written by Jane Smiley, and it's called 20 Yawns. Are you starting to yawn as we're getting closer to your bedtime? I probably talked a little bit far into our bedtime, so I'll try to hurry through this one a bit. 20 yawns. Does just the word yawn make you start to yawn? This book has 20 yawns in it. I wonder if you can count to see if I'm right. How will you keep track? Could you make dots? Could you organize those dots in a 10 frame for easy counting? Could you make tally marks? If you made tally marks, would you bundle them every time you had 5? I wonder if I'm right about those 20 yawns. Now here's this little friend, tucked in bed, all these stuffed animals ready to go to sleep. 20 yawns. Take a look at the title page here. Where do you think our friend has been today? Did you say the beach? I wish I had been at the beach today. It's snowing here in Ohio. This is where I would like to be. Do you like to go to the beach? The beach umbrella was flapping in the breeze. Flap, flap, flap. Not far from the waves, Lucy was digging a hole all by herself. It got so big that her dad could lie down in it. When he did, she covered him up. They laughed and laughed. Then he took her hand and they ran into the water. A big wave came in and he swung her into the sky. Lucy walked with Mom and Dad all the way to the end of the beach. I love to walk on the beach with my kids. On the way back, Lucy rolled and rolled down the soft, warm dunes. Those are like hills of sand. Even though she got dizzy and sandy, she didn't want to stop. Mom and Dad and Lucy stayed longer at the beach than they ever had before. Lucy yawned. Mom yawned. Dad yawned. Mom said, "Early bedtime." Outside Lucy's bedroom, the sun was sinking below the horizon. Strips of cloud were pink and red. Lucy put her pajamas on inside out, climbed into bed, and yawned a big yawn. Oh. Mom began to read her a story. Once upon a time, there lived a wonderful little boy named Fred. He was perfect in every way, or so his mother said. Lucy stretched and smiled. She gave a big, big, big yawn and closed her eyes. Mom had stopped reading. She was asleep. The moon shone through the window, a silver veil that fell across the floor. Everything looked mysterious. Even Lucy's own hands on the bedspread. Suddenly, Lucy was wide awake. She looked around. Everyone in the picture seemed to be watching her. Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Elizabeth, Mom, and Dad. Even Fred in the book that Mom had dropped on the floor. Lucy slipped out of bed and padded to the door. Her dad was snoring in the living room. The house was very quiet. Lucy needed Molasses, her bear. He was wedged beneath Hornet the giraffe, Juno the horse, Matilda the alligator, Frank the kangaroo, and his baby Leonard. Swoosh! All the toys fell to the floor. Lucy started to carry Molasses back to her bed, but the other toys were looking at her, even Leonard, the baby kangaroo. They seemed lonely. So one by one, she brought them over to her bed and dropped them in a patch of moonlight. She spread her blankie over them and kissed them goodnight. Now they looked sleepy and happy. Lucy lay down and snuggled in next to her friends, sighed a big happy sigh, and, did you guess it? Yawn, 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 yawn. She saw Grandma yawn. She saw Grandpa yawn. She saw Aunt Elizabeth yawn. She saw Mom yawn. She saw Dad yawn. She saw Fred, the boy in the book, yawn. And she saw the moon yawn. Lucy put her arms around Molasses. He seemed especially tired. Then she gave one last yawn and fell asleep. I see my little friend Bryn has joined us too. Thank you, Bryn. I have something special coming home for you tomorrow. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that story as much as I enjoyed that story. Did you count the yawns? Are you ready to brush those teeth, floss those teeth, make sure that backpack is packed and ready, make sure your clothes are ready for tomorrow, hop in your bed, snuggle up your snugglies, and give your grown-up a hug and a kiss, and yawn, stretch, and smile, because you're ready for big dreams about all the wonderful things you're going to learn this week. I hope I get to see you. If I don't see you at school, I hope I see you next Sunday night right here on Facebook Live for Storytime Junction. Good night, everyone.